Hey everybody, Coach here. Hey, thanks for taking a few minutes and joining me here this week on this week's video. This week we are taking a look and diving into and shedding a little light on the installation of landscape lighting. Hey, I am glad you're here. You know, landscape lighting has been around for decades and decades, but the low voltage lighting, the stuff that I installed and that you can install too, has come huge leaps and bounds in progress over the last 30 to 35 years. So simple is it now that you can install a nice landscape lighting system in less than a weekend. You really can. So, with a little homework and simple calculations, you can add value, you can add security, and you can add that beautiful evening and nighttime ambiance in your front or backyard that just makes your yard a cut above. Just that little small cut above everyone else. So hey, I am glad you're here. Stick with me till the end and we will get rolling. Maestro, do your thing, please. Hey, I'm Matt and you can call me Coach. You know, every week, every Friday, I bring to you landscape tips and tricks, design concepts and theories in a simple, easy to understand format so you can tackle landscape projects yourself, get professional results you want, and be more self-reliant in this day and age, but most importantly, save yourself a boatload of money. After a successful 20-plus year career as a landscape designer, contractor, retail nursery manager, and college-educated in ornamental hort, I really bring with me a lot of knowledge and experience that I want to impart to you, you know, the modern, self-reliant homeowner of today. Okay, so, hey, welcome again. Here's kind of how the story goes, at least in my experiences. You know, Mr. and Mrs. Jones are out, you know, giving Doggo a walk after dinner. And it's just getting dark and they're walking around the neighborhood and they see the Smith's house. And when they see the Smith's house, they see the Smiths just spent a lot of money, big dollars on a new front yard makeover. And the whole thing looks really good. It's got that beautiful new landscape lipstick all over it, plus very nice, well-placed landscape lighting. Hey, you know, the Joneses go, man, I would really like to have something like that. They knock on the Smith's house and they say, hey, Mrs. Smith, who did you use to put in your landscape? And we really like the lighting. We're really interested in that. Oh, hey, Yard Coach did it. Hypothetically, anyway. And I get a call next couple of days. Hey, can you come over and give me an estimate on a landscape lighting project? And I show up. The Joneses take me to the backyard and they say, hey, we want to light up these trees and this pathway that goes around to the front gate, and see our patio and our shade arbor. We want to do that. We want to have somewhere between maybe 12 to 15 lights back here to really make it look nice. Very good. Thanks for calling. I'll get that estimate to you here in just a couple minutes. And I work it all up and I do my price points and everything and I submit the estimate to them and they go, oh man, we didn't think it was going to be this much. And I show them the estimate in a broken down fashion so they can see how much materials are and how much labor is going to be and then estimated time to get it in. Well, they become rather, you know, dejected because they just don't have that kind of money to get a job done right now. So they shelve it and move on. Pump the brakes. Wait just a second. Because in this day and age, a modern self-reliant homeowner can do this themselves. And I have taught dozens of them how to do it themselves. And instead of a, you know, $5,500 job, maybe you're talking about a $1,600 job, plus or minus, depending on how many fixtures you're actually going to put in. So let's take a look at some of the parts and pieces, there aren't very many of them, on how to put this thing together. First of all, you have your power center or your transformer. What these things basically do is they take the high voltage from your house, reduce it down to low voltage, and it basically powers all the illumination in your landscape project, okay? Then you have the cabling. Cabling is a direct burial cable, meaning it can go underground without any problems and it's safe to put underground. Remember, we're dealing with low voltage. They come in a variety of sizes. Back when I started, it went all the way up to 8.2 and down to 16.2. But with this day and age, and what I'm going to tell you here in this video, most of the time you're going to hover right around 12.2 direct bury cable. Remember that. Write it down, okay? The next thing we're going to talk about is the fixtures themselves. Fixtures range from not the best quality that comes from some of the retail stores, the box stores and stuff. They're okay. They're a great starter kit, shall we say. But the longevity and the quality of those things generally don't last that long. I would suggest going to a specialty landscape store, and you can expect on paying anywhere from $40 to $440 for each fixture, depending on what your budget is. The sky's the limit. You know, the fixtures are easy to put together. They're generally, you know, boxed, and you unpaper them and you screw them together, put the light bulb in, hook up the wire, and you're good. Pretty simple stuff. Next, there are the connectors. Connectors are real simple devices. You can either have compression type clipping devices, or you can have the dry lock connectors that have the gel inside that protects the copper wire from corroding and getting wet while it's buried underground in a landscape. The fixtures, and next the bulbs themselves. This is where I want you to focus on, believe it or not. Bulbs are the most important component of the landscape lighting system outside of the power center, because nowadays I want everybody to go away from incandescent bulbs that generally the lights come with and lean towards the LED bulbs. And I'll tell you why in just a minute. Lastly, we talk about some little ground staples that can hold the cable in place, stabilize it underground, keep it underground, keep it under the mulch or next to the walkway, whatever you decide to do, okay? That's it. That's all the parts and pieces of a landscape project. So the next few steps that I'm going to explain here, if you are truly interested in moving forward with a project, write some of these things down, because they're really critical things that you need to know before you go to the store and actually purchase. And if you go there and purchase not enough, there ain't nothing worse than having not enough cable. It's always better to have too much. Okay, first of all, you need to determine what you want to illuminate. What is the landscape lighting function going to be? Are we illuminating trees? Are we illuminating pathways? Are we downlighting off of a shade arbor for outdoor patio ambiance? Are we lighting up those dark corners in the landscape for security reasons? Determine what purpose the landscape lighting is going to do, okay? Write it down. Write it down so you can start to visualize the process behind it. Second of all, with those determinations made, how many fixtures are we going to need? We're going to need 6 uplights. We're going to need 8 path lights around the patio and the walkway. Maybe we're going to have 3 or 4 downlights off the shade arbor. Maybe we're going to have some downlights up in the big trees lighting up a water feature that you've put out there. How many fixtures? How many fixtures are you going to need? Once you determine how many fixtures, write that down and break them down into individual sections. Path lights, up lights, down lights, pendant lights, wall washes, whatever it is, write them down. Thirdly is, in your landscape, where is a convenient position for the transformer or power center? Do you have some outside plugs that are conveniently located where you can do this project? If not, a licensed electrician or so can pull a new plug, either from the inside or from the garage or up through the attic, whatever might be needed, whatever your situation entails, but determine where that power center can go, where it's strategically placed so you can do the next couple steps coming up. Okay, so with some wooden stakes, I'd like you to go around the yard and just tap some wooden stakes where your determined number of fixtures are going to be. Then start closely estimating the number of feet that is involved in the amount of cable that you're going to use. Now, if you're using LED bulbs in your system, you won't have as many multiple cables going in different directions, and I'll explain to you why in just a second. But from your power center to your farthest light fixture, pace that area off, and in that distance, how many other fixtures are going to be attached. Do you understand what I'm saying? If you have the power center, then it goes to a path light, then it goes down a walkway and under the walkway where another path light is, then it goes to the fence and over to the tree that you're going to illuminate. Okay, our next step is going to be determining what size power center or transformer we're going to need. And how do we do that? Well, let's do some simple math. Let's say we have 12 fixtures in this project. And out of those 12 fixtures, you're going to use the old-fashioned incandescent bulbs, just for simple math. And those are 20-watt bulbs, both for the path lights and for the accent lights on the trees, okay? Simple math. So we have 12 fixtures at 20 watts apiece. 240 watts is this system gonna take. So you're gonna need to look for a transformer that's a minimum of 300 watts. You understand? They don't make a 240 watt transformer. They make them in 100s, 150s, 200s, 300s, 500s, and 900s and beyond, okay? So in this particular case, we're gonna shoot for a 300 watt transformer. Now let's say you have a bigger backyard and the last light you need is, by the time you come from the transformer, under the walkway, around the patio, to the far side, up the shade arbor, your last down light is several feet away, maybe 100 feet or more. And in order to avoid the next topic I'm talking about, get a transformer that has multiple voltage taps. Remember that, write it down. Multiple voltage taps. So you'll have a tap in your transformer that has the common side and the tap side. And you'll have one that's 11.9, you'll have one that's 14, and one that's 15.5. For that farthest fixtures away, maybe we're going to use the 14 or the 15. And the ones that are close to the transformer, we'll use the 11.9 or the 12. Okay, so multiple voltage taps. Makes it very simple. All right, so now we've got our parts and pieces. We have the next thing to do is a little bit of trenching. Shallow trenching along walkways, maybe water boring underneath a walkway to get the cable underneath, sticking to fence lines, behind patios and up the back sides of shade arbors. That's where your cabling is going to go, all right? And now is the time to go out there and trench that. Get a little help, you know? Have a hamburger and hot dog day with the family and get out there and do a little bit of trenching. You don't have to go gonzo. This is low voltage cabling that doesn't need to be any more than 6 inches underground, and in some cases, just the depth of your ground itself up against a walkway where they're protected. Okay? Get going on that. Hey, welcome back. Is all the trenching all done? Perfect. Now's the time to lay our cable in. And remember those wooden stakes. When you get your cable to that wooden stake, I want you to just make a little loop of about, I don't know, 18 inches or so, and then tape it off at that stake. Get all those fixtures and those loops done and placed now. Do you have that done? That's our next step. Now, it's time to plug in that transformer, run our cabling up into the transformer and tap into those multi-voltage taps and wire it up. Very simple. Here's an easy way to remember. Take about one knuckle of casing off of your wire, twist it up, run it up into the transformer and put it in there. Here's a little pro tip. When you do the cabling up out of the ground and into the transformer, sleeve that cabling with a piece of PVC pipe. It'll protect the cable over the years. It'll make it look a lot neater, and you can run it from slightly underground to probably an inch or two into the transformer itself, depending how big of tap hole there is there. It's either a knockout or it's already there. Usually I use 3/4 or 1 inch type of PVC pipe, and then I painted it either to match the landscaping around it or the house color. Something you might want to consider. Okay, now's the little bit of electrician comes out in you. Okay, at each loop, I want you to cut the cable, strip off the ends of the fixture wire, and you're going to wire those two cables and your fixture wire all together. And you're going to twist them together and put the connector on there and continue and continue and continue to where they're all wired up. They got all the wire nuts or the clamp fixtures, whatever they come with, and you're ready to go. You're ready to test your system. Turn that transformer on and check each fixture. Now each fixture you've already put a bulb in there, whether it was the incandescent bulb or one of the fancier LED bulbs. Whatever ones, they should all be lit. If they are not lit, turn off the transformer and check each connection. If you have good connections, there's hardly anything that can go wrong with this. You also need to check your placement of your bulbs in the fixture themselves. But most of the time, if you're seating those bulbs in there correctly, it's going to work really easy. So my second pro tip is how to avoid voltage drop. And remember, I spoke to you about this earlier. If you have a very long run of cable and you have a couple of fixtures far, far away, and you have maybe 2 or 3 fixtures on it, and then the last 2 are a ways away, yet those things for some reason are not as bright as everything else. That's voltage drop syndrome, where the cable can only send so much electricity down it, and the last one has gotten robbed because of the other ones that are closer to the... So this is how we fix that. Number one, we use either larger cable. Instead of 12-2, maybe we use 10-2. The other way is use a lower wattage bulb that doesn't require as much voltage to hit it, much wattage. The other thing is drop the incandescent and use LED. That's the key. LED bulbs are going to be so much troubleshooting in a box, they really are. You're not going to have voltage drop. You can use smaller transformers, kerching, savings on dollars there. You can put more fixtures on one cable, and the bulbs themselves last 10 times longer than an incandescent bulb. I've seen an LED bulb on path lights last 5 years and are still going when an incandescent bulb has been replaced 3 and 4 times, especially after cold, wet winters. So as far as final placement, here's my suggestion, is path lights should generally light at least half of the path area of where they're placed. If you have a 4-foot pathway, your illumination ring should be about half. And I like staggering them. I like one on one side, and then one on another, and then one on another, so you have this overlapping field of illumination while you're walking down a pathway. I think it looks a lot better, and it is, yes, a little more work, but dang it, the navigation safety is illuminated a lot better. When you're doing uplights into trees, consider capturing part of the trunk and then the interior scaffolding of the tree itself, especially if it's a more mature tree. If you're doing downlighting, say like off of a shade arbor or pendant lights out of a tree, you want to wash the patio area with a little bit of the post and a little bit of area where people are going to navigate and move around the patio at nighttime. Okay? Now, if you get into fancier stuff like wall washing and stuff, you want to backlight structures of nice tree trunks and that kind of thing. You're going to light up walls and light up fences and then have the tree trunk and everything shadowed and backlit behind it for that backlit effect. Okay, and finally, maintenance. Like any other fixture in your home, eventually things can wear out. But with a little bit of maintenance and a little bit of checking, probably 2 times a year, you will have a system that'll last you 12, 15, 20 years, especially the power center and the cabling. There's not too much that can go wrong with those. Occasionally you will lose bulbs. You will lose bulbs. But what I suggest is checking the transformer twice a year. If it comes with a photocell, you know, something that automatically turns the lights on at dusk and automatically turns them off at dawn, just make sure that that sensor is cleaned a couple times a year. If you have sprinklers in this area and the transformer is going to be hit, the fixtures are going to be hit, and you have hard water spot or hard water period, consider waxing the fixtures themselves and then cleaning them off twice a year to keep them looking new and not, you know, calcium carbonated white after a couple of years. When it comes to the power center internals, you might want to open it up twice a year and make sure you don't have any spee spiders and that kind of stuff that are nesting up in there. And then also the undersides of path lights. Sometimes small spiders love to get up in there because they attract bugs in the warmer times of year. The light does, and they get dinner brought to them. So keep it nice and clean. That is a down and dirty, very simple look at landscape lighting installation. It is something that you guys can do. It is safe. The only high voltage you're dealing with is when you take that power center and plug it into an outlet. And I would suggest that that's a GFCI outlet with a bubble cover on it on the outside wall of your shed, your house, your garage, wherever you decide to plug into. Hey, I'm Matt. You can call me Coach. I hope you've enjoyed this. Thanks so much for sticking around to the very end. Drop a comment below or send me a question if you have one on this. If I didn't cover a particular part of it, I'd love to answer it, email to email without any problem. Hey, check out the other videos that I have. And also, if you're on the go every week, we have a podcast as well. I appreciate you staying to the end. Hey, I'm Matt. You can call me Coach. I'll see you next week. Take care and thanks again.